Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to our webinar today. It's one webinar of a series of webinars we are organizing within the FooD-STA project, supported by the ISEKI-Food Association. Today we will have the topic entrepreneurship, which is very important for graduates in the food sector. And the agenda of today is I will first introduce you to the system, how you can participate in this webinar. Then I will shortly present some slides about the project. Then we will have the presentation of our guest, and after that there is time where you can ask questions to the presenter. There are two different possibilities. You can write during the presentation your questions in the question box, or you can also raise your hand. Then I will open your microphone and then you can also participate. After the webinar, there will be also an evaluation by email, so you will receive an email after the end of the presentation. So how does it work? You should have on your screen something like this, a control panel of the webinar, and there are some icons which are important. First, so you don't see, I've heard that you don't see my screen. So do you see my screen now? Okay. On the control panel, you have a box where you can type your questions, and then I can forward it to the presenter and he can answer that. There is an arrow in an orange box. With this you can minimize this control panel on your screen. Then you can also maximize the presentation on your screen with this icon. And then we have this hand. So if you want to tell us something, or if something does not work correctly, then click on this icon and raise your hand. I see that there is one person, George, who has raised the hand. I will shortly open the microphone of these persons. Then maybe he can speak. George.
Hi.
Hello. Did you want to ask some question?
No. I just it's a mistake.
Okay, mistake. Okay, no problem. Anyway, but you see how it works. Raise your hand, and then you are able to speak. So I will mute yourself again. All the microphones of the participants are muted during the presentation, because otherwise we will have too much background noise. But the session will be recorded, so everybody is able to review the presentation and the discussion afterwards via the website of the FooD-STA project. So some slides about the FooD-STA project. This is a European-funded project. It's a knowledge alliance between industry and academia in the food sector. It's running from 2017 to end of 2017. And we have a consortium of 7 universities, 3 food companies, and 11 multipliers and training providers in Europe. The vision of this project is that we want to bring together universities and the food industry, because they have different focus and different aims. And for example, the universities, usually they focus on research, and they are looking for fundamental mechanisms. They want to publish their results of research. whereas the food industry focus more on practical applications. They want quick solutions. They are focused on intellectual property rights, and they always have time constraints. So these are different worlds, but we have to bring these two worlds together, and our vision is to close the gap by establishing this so-called FooD-STA Center, where we try to make a platform where industry and university can work together, not only on local level, but also on European level, and to form long-term partnerships in this network. I will not go in detail about the consortium. So these are the universities participating. We have 2 large food companies participating. And what is very important are these multipliers. These are more or less federations in the different countries, which are the link to the industry, especially also to the small and medium companies. We have some associated partners as a link to university teachers, also to industry like FooD and Space, and also an association, a network of international relations officers. This FooD-STA Center will be an independent platform with physical hubs in different regions, where we want to support international and sustainable collaborations between industry and academia, and also between industry. You can find more information on this project on our website, www.food-sta.eu. Within this project, we are organizing, besides workshops and other training activities, we are providing this series of webinars. We have already a lot of topics, but if you're interested in other topics, just send an email to this email address with suggestions for other topics, or if you also want to present your expertise to the network, you can also send an email to this email address. About today, our guest speaker is Ellya Elon. He is Director of Education and Acceleration at STARTAU. This is a university's entrepreneurship center in Tel Aviv. He is an experienced so-called accelerator manager and is specialized in business negotiations, entrepreneurship methodologies, early venture creation, business modeling, and he is also expert in achieving product market fit. He's director of these centers, and which is the largest center in Israel and one of the top 25 in the world. And he, at the moment, he manages more than 30 programs per year, and he's also involved in the study programs at Tel Aviv University. So he lectures around the world and is involved in the ecosystem of Israel and also of other countries. The content of the workshop today is about technology workshop. So he will give an overview of the process of creating and growing high potential ventures using several frameworks, and he will discuss common myths regarding entrepreneurs which are harmful for aspiring innovators. This workshop is just an introduction to a series of other activities. So there will be a physical workshop following this in April 10 in Vienna, a one-day workshop. And this workshop where different cases of business plans can be discussed will be followed by a series of other webinars or personal contacts via internet to build a business plan. You can find more about these other activities also on our website under this link. Also, this presentation and the presentation of the speaker today you can find also on the FooD-STA website, and also later on the recording of this webinar. So this was the end of my presentation. Usually the presenter now is giving the presentation, but as we have faced some connection problems, I will start the presentation from my computer, and he will just speak to the presentation. So I will change the screen. So I hope you can see now the presentation. Yep. I will now start the presentation and give the word to Ellya. Ellya, are you here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, it's working.
Yes,
so
I just can't see the screen.
You can't see the screen? Okay, so let me see. No. There's always some new issues on these presentations. Do you see the screen now? Just a moment. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it.
So I will start again.
Gone again.
It's gone again? Okay. So maybe then we don't know if you have animations in your presentation. If not, then we can use this view. Is it here again?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah, so then I will go slide by slide.
Okay. I hope it doesn't harm the quality of the presentation too much. Okay, so I'm good. If it's good with everyone, so I can start.
Yes, you can start.
Great. So first of all, it's a pleasure to talk here in this webinar with FooD-STA attendees, and Gerhard, thank you so much for inviting me. You talked briefly about the workshop in Vienna and the follow-on program that we're gonna co-operate together. That's an amazing program, and I invite everybody here to ask more about that program. I hope that this webinar will give some notion of how much value can be created in such a short time in that workshop. Just a quick note on logistics. I always find it funny that no matter where in the world you talk, there is always a logistical problem. And I spent a few years in the military, and we had a saying that logistics is the queen of battle. And it doesn't care how much you plan, there will always be something that you didn't take into consideration or that logistically failed. So in that positive manner, I will start my presentation. Gerhard, you will move through the slides. Great. So my name is Ellya Elon, as Gerhard presented, from STARTAU, Tel Aviv University's Entrepreneurship Center. And basically, I'm in love with entrepreneurship as a set of processes and as a mindset. And that's the main reason why I'm here to talk to you. And I want to put this clear on the table. If anyone has more questions and I assume this presentation will open a lot of things and close less, feel free to contact me under this email, and as Gerhard said, the presentation will be on the FooD-STA website, and I will send the link to my SlideShare, so everything is very open sourced and can be used and reused with a sufficient attribution. Next slide, please. So 4 main points for today. One is, what is entrepreneurship? Some common myths of entrepreneurship that I see a lot of first-time entrepreneurs that come with this, with these myths, and me and my colleagues see how it really harms them in their day-to-day life and trying to get into creating a new venture. Some high productivity frameworks for creating high growth ventures, and we'll talk briefly about what is a high growth venture, and my own model, a metaphor, if I might. Please, next slide. So, what is entrepreneurship? Next slide. There are many definitions for entrepreneurship, and I think there are much more views on what is entrepreneurship or who is an entrepreneur. But the one the one definition that has stuck with me for many years is the one by Howard Stevenson from the Harvard Business School, and it emphasizes 3 things. One, the pursuit. The other one is the opportunity, and it talks about the resources in control today. And I would like to elaborate on each of those in the next slides. So the pursuit, or how I like to call it, the mentality. The pursuit really defines who is the entrepreneur and what mentality, what mindset he should hold in order to get the venture out of his head and into real life. Because it's very intuitive, and much of us, I assume, know this, but there is a huge gap between having an idea and having a startup, or having an idea and seeing a project come into real life, seeing it come into fruition. And I chose to focus on singular and relentless focus. And the best metaphor I find for this is it's like not being focused on a singular effort is almost like trying to catch 2 rabbits at the same time. It's something that, I don't know, maybe here someone can do this, but I don't know of a person who can at the same time catch something that is so slippery, so agile. The only chance you have to catch one is focus with all your effort on one rabbit. And we have this saying here in the center that we've never seen an entrepreneur fail because he over-focused. On the contrary, we see many entrepreneurs fail because they are not able to focus enough. They are too broad in their pursuits. They want too many markets, or they're targeting too many customers, potential customers, on day one. A tangible progress. The pursuit has to be tangible. Gathering resources, and I will get to this in 2 slides. And urgency, what I call the gun-to-head mentality versus the portfolio mentality. And what do I mean here? If anyone, or let's specifically talk about an entrepreneur, starts a new company, the whole company is existing because of the essence of the innovative idea, because of the idea that the company is built around. And if that idea falls or becomes non-relevant, then the company as it is, without reorganizing or re-ideating the purpose of the company, has just died. There is no need for that company if the idea is not something that we are still pursuing. And what do I mean by a portfolio mentality? Let's take any large corporate you have in mind. You can I always think about Intel and Microsoft and HP, and there any R&D project or any initiative is just one small effort in a large portfolio of innovations. And by no means the company is depending on those innovations to succeed. It has its core business, and that's the main reason for the business to continue doing business. Next slide, please. Okay, so the opportunity, we're pursuing an amazing offering. It could be, and this means a lot of different things for different people, but it can be the rush of pioneering an innovative product. It can be a new business model, which is the opportunity, like Nespresso did for coffee at home, for basically commodity. They have disrupted the coffee as a commodity in their new business model. We consider better, cheaper, faster than the existing offering as an innovation, and always the next question is how much better, cheaper, or faster. And we use the 10x rule, and that basically says that if it's 10 times more than the existing offering, it is considered by nowadays standards an innovation, and that's quite common in Western cultures. And the last one is resegmenting an existing product. So this just means using an existing offering, an existing product, and reusing that same product to solve a different pain, a different need in a different market, but on the same, based on the same architecture. Next slide, please. Beyond resources controlled, resources are scarce. This everybody knows. This is the essence of life. But pre-investment, and I'm not going to get into details about which investment, if this is seed or round A, but pre-investment, the only resources we have is our own time or our co-founders' time, which are, let's go for a scenario where we all left our day jobs and are dedicating our next 2 months to get this idea into a validated situation where we can now go fundraising. So we have our own personal time. We have our networks, our social networks. We can, if our network is vast enough, we can get invaluable advice from the right people, and our own financial assets, if they are savings or the ability to take a loan based on credit reputation, etc. Next slide, please. Another important differentiation when we talk about entrepreneurship is between SME, what we call small medium enterprise or small medium entrepreneurship, and IDEs, innovation driven entrepreneurship. And I think this is very intuitive. I won't go too deep into the details. I will just give the examples, and it's really intuitive. SMEs are services, service businesses, dry cleaners, cafes, and IDEs are those companies that target global markets, what we call products for export, and have a unique value proposition, something that is sustainable and very, very hard to reproduce, what we call defensible. And that could be through intellectual property or through a series of strategic partnerships, which makes it difficult for new companies that are looking to disrupt that company in the field that it just created or resegmented. And something interesting in these IDEs, as we call them, are the time span is usually, and these are generalizations, but the time spans are usually long because it involves some level of R&D in the early stages, and the growth is exponential, and not always in the positive manner. For some people who come from SME background, they in the early stages they are terrified when they look at the cash flow statements because they see only red. The Excel shows only red, and if you look at the graph, the graph is spending a lot of time underneath the zero level, and that is because as an IDE, most of the time, you're not aiming at doing any business, any revenue on your first stage, and that really varies if you're a B2B or B2C company, and in which industry you're working. So we're talking about IDEs, innovation-driven, and without getting too deep into innovation, that's at least 2 hours of another webinar. We differentiate between 3 types of innovation. And the first one is market innovation, where a good example is a company called Zipcar. Zipcar is a company that basically their innovation is in understanding that there is a segment in urban cities of people that are not wanting to own a car, but are still wanting to have the comfort of having a car they can drive as they want, i.e. not a taxi or not a rental, which they can take from their home or from their office and leave it near their next meeting spot, and be charged with a high premium. And there is some technology involved in that innovation, but in the essence, the whole venture is based upon market understanding that there is a specific segment in society that has a specific need that can be addressed and capitalized upon. Sorry. Business model innovation, again, a classic example, and from the food industry is Nespresso, which, as I assume most of you now know, basically, and I'm generalizing, but basically gives away the coffee machines or sells them in almost no profit, but later on you are almost binded to buy the capsules from Nespresso directly, and the profit margin on those capsules is unbelievably high. And when we talk about business model innovation, we talk a lot about Nespresso because they have disrupted a very classic industry, commodity coffee, and brought an innovative business model into it. Technical innovation, that's usually what people think about when we talk about innovation. Those are the new inventions, those are the new algorithms, the new products. That usually is what comes to mind. Next slide, please. Another one. Okay, so some common myths about innovation, and I'll do this briefly. They are the smartest and most high-achieving people in the room. I can't tell you how much time I'm spending around founders and successful entrepreneurs, and most of them are almost always not the smartest people in the room. One unique thing about them is that they make sure to surround themselves with smarter people than they are. A good close friend of mine who is a very successful entrepreneur sold 2 companies, the last one half a year ago to Intel, told me he has a rule for hiring, and that rule is the person who he is hiring has to be smarter than him. Otherwise, in a very plain sense, he doesn't bring much value to the company. Next one. Entrepreneurs are individualists. This is a myth publicized by media because it's very romantic to tell the story of Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs as entrepreneurs. But the truth is that 99.9% of entrepreneurs of ventures are successful due to their teams, and the team has a huge amount of impact on the successfulness of the company. Actually, a report out of the Startup Genome Project from Stanford University shows that up until 4 participants in a team, there is a linear growth of success expectancy based on the number of co-founders in the team. Once we get to 5 co-founders and above, we start to see a steady decline, and that depends on different variables. But the message is very strong that the team is very important for the success of the company. Next myth, please. Entrepreneurs are born, not made. This is a phrase out of a dear friend, a professor of entrepreneurship in MIT, and he swore to me that a lot of effort and money has been invested into finding that special entrepreneurship gene, and smart people both in Harvard and both in MIT have been unsuccessful to find that gene, and we just don't believe it's existent. Entrepreneurship is a mindset, and like other mindsets, can be developed, can be educated, can be fine-tuned. Next one, please. Entrepreneurs love risk. I guess this one is really dependent on how you read it and how you visualize it, because entrepreneurs take a lot of risk, but I haven't yet met one that is loving risk. And there's a huge difference between loving risk and being risk tolerant. And there is a lot of risk in entrepreneurship. Venture capital is all about risk, high reward. And I think the main point here is remembering that a good entrepreneur will take the risk when he feels he has more cards on his side than in his opponent's, where there is more chance that the action would bring great reward based on inaction or the downsides of that action. Next slide, please. Entrepreneurs are successful because they are charismatic. This one is a common myth with leadership too. That charisma has to do with leadership and entrepreneurship. And again, as you might guess, this is a bad myth. I personally know a few technological entrepreneurs, amazing people, great leaders, great entrepreneurs, who just lack basic charisma, but still can organize a huge organization of 200, 300 employees and above, and who see them as leaders. Next slide, please. Entrepreneurs are undisciplined. There is this fallacy about entrepreneurs that they are outside of the box thinkers, but in a negative way, that they break norms and they don't want to do evolution, they want to do revolution, that they throw to the garbage everything that was before them, that they look from above on things that are in their original thoughts, and that they hate boundaries. And there are some of those, and you can see it. Sometimes it's an act. It's a way to be remembered by people. But some are like that. I can tell you that most of them are unsuccessful because, think about it, entrepreneurship in its essence is always living in a lack of resources, in always trying to sell your product, sell your offering, and you're always missing more and more resources. So being undisciplined with what you have is almost counterintuitive to achieving with the very little that you have. Next slide, please. I would like to go quickly on a few frameworks, and I see that we're kind of late with time, and we started a bit late, and I want to leave some time for questions. So I'll choose a few frameworks, the important ones, and then I'll give my model, and we'll finish there. So if you can go to 2 slides next, please. One back. Thanks. So this framework by 3 professors of Stanford, this is their book called Technology Ventures, is called Vision First, and it basically sees the venture and the entrepreneur's role in the venture. First of all, visioning, creating a strong vision for the venture, then thinking about how will we do this, what are our unique advantages for doing this, what we call planning, and the last part is execution. Execution and in the end goal of being profitable. If you might go to the next slide, please. And when we go a bit deeper into the vision, strategy, execution model, so the vision is broken down first into opportunity recognition, and then based on that opportunity, we create a vision for the company. And then in strategy, we identify distinctive competencies, and that is access to resources, and that could be all kinds of resources, intellectual, physical, financial, and capabilities of the team, obviously, in distinctive competencies. Still under strategy, we talk about business strategy, the novelty of our initial idea, the innovation that our idea brings to the world, the value that we are creating, and the industry context. And we talk about, when we talk about execution, we mainly talk about structure, and structure has a lot to do with doing and not just talking about. And when we say talent and processes, it's organizing an organizational structure that allows the talent, the team, to work together. So those could be business development teams, R&D teams, engineering teams, and processes. Again, a very important aspect of creating a new business is how do we do things in our business? How do we, who delivers to who is dependent on who? And last but not least, the profitability side. Next slide, please. So I won't go too deep into these because no added value in just reading what is written, and all slides will be handed out later. But this slide and the next one are just good trigger questions for thinking about your vision, your strategy, and the execution. These are good thought questions and questions in brainstorming sessions that help teams answer and write down what is expected out of them in this framework. Next question, please. Next slide. So this framework I really love because it's very simple, and it has a lot of elegance to it, and it's very intuitive. And almost every VC, venture capitalist, and angel investor that I personally know, and in Israel there are a lot, mainly focuses on these three things. And the first one is it a big market, and is it growing? Second is the product great? Are people falling in love with the product? What we call WOM, or stickiness. WOM is acronym for word of mouth, and stickiness is a word we use to describe basically the stickiness of the product. If you give a product, if you publish it on social network, and you see people are telling their friends about this amazing new product, amazing new service that they're using, you can say your product is sticky. Excellent team, both technologically and business-wise. The three big questions every investor will ask, and I think that is very smart for each entrepreneur to ask himself or his co-founders, how do we answer to these three questions? Next model, please. The classic business plan, I'm almost sure everybody here is quite familiar with, so we'll skip this one. Lean startup methodologies, three main frameworks, mini frameworks, and three books correlating to those. So the first one is The Business Model Generation by Alexander Osterwalder, who brought the business model canvas to the world. The upper left one is The Startup Owner's Manual by Steve Blank, who created what we call today customer development process. And The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, who was a student of Steve Blank, a student and an entrepreneur who Steve invested in, who brought to the world what we call the Build, Measure, Learn circle. And all of these, what we call lean methods, basically are trying to give us this notion that everything that we think we know are just hypotheses, and those hypotheses need to be written down and then extrapolated into tests, and those tests should, as objectively as possible, help us validate or invalidate our thoughts about our new venture. And another great thing that Eric brought to us was the MVP. And a lot of people, MVP stands for minimum viable product. And a lot of people confuse the MVP for a product. And the MVP is a process. And that process is, what can we bring to the world today, not tomorrow, now, that will help us the most to learn from our potential customers or our potential users. And that is the MVP. So in one instance, an MVP could be a sketch on a napkin. In another instance, it could be a half-baked product. In another, it could be a website or a mock-up and some frameworks. The whole idea is that you create something that people can interact with, and I'm talking about the whole broad spectrum of interaction, and that you can learn from. You can learn something from that interaction and then go work on something that you have proven and not something that you're hypothesizing in your head that people would want. Next framework, please. Another slide. Another one, very simple, that I really like, and this framework basically says that the whole mission in life of an entrepreneur is de-risking in 4 main areas. And those areas are team, technology, market, and capital. And I'll give an example. Let's say you're a solo entrepreneur and you just got a co-founder on board, so you de-risked yourself in the team section. And let's say you've got 10 first customers for your product, you de-risk yourself in your market. And now 2 months later, you just closed a fundraising round from an angel investor, you de-risk yourself in the financial and the capital side. So the whole process that the entrepreneur does is trying to de-risk in each one of those sections until the venture is riskless. Next one, please. Crossing the chasm, a very famous one. I won't go into this one because it requires a bit more explanation, and those who know what I'm talking about. But the whole idea is that you divide society into five main sections, and those are the innovators, the early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. And the innovators and early adopters are looking for technology and performance, and early and beyond are looking for solutions and convenience. Another nice way to look at this is switching innovators with technology enthusiasts, early adopters with visionaries, early majority with pragmatists, switching late majority with conservatives, and switching laggards with skeptics. And basically this is the acceptance curve of new technology and new products into the market. Next one, please. Okay, so after we've covered a lot of different models and talked on what is entrepreneurship and some common myths, I would like to show you my metaphor for entrepreneurship, and I see almost no difference between entrepreneurship and the concept of mountain climbing. And what do I mean? Gerhard, please. I metaphor the process of conquering a mountaintop to conquering an opportunity in the market. And I will talk about mountain climbing, but I will ask you to think about what is the equivalent in the entrepreneurial or the business world. And when you think about a mountain you want to climb, you need to think about, I want that mountain to be a very high and very lucrative mountain, something that I can brag about, but something that I don't think will kill me, something that that is not too high for me. And when I'm saying me, I'm meaning my team. Next slide, please. Well, the mountain climbers are obviously the team. And if you have some experience with mountain climbing, I'm talking about extreme hardcore climbing, is done in teams and not in by individuals. Same thing in entrepreneurship. You just can't survive the height in entrepreneurship without a team. Next slide, please. I assume this made a few people laugh and ask, what is this? But this is a man walking in the snow without any clothes. And that is what I call and see a lot, almost weekly, is a very talented entrepreneur who has the motivation but is lacking the knowledge in the field that he has chosen to act upon. And I view it exactly as trying to climb a mountain in the snow without any clothes. Choose a field where you are the subject matter expert, or you can become the subject matter expert in a time frame of a year. Next one, please. Well, this isn't a mountain, it's just a hill. It's a very pastoral and nice looking hill, but this is basically me trying to tell you that a lot of the times entrepreneurs are choosing too small of market, too small opportunity. And I will talk for a second about fundraising. A lot of the times the investor looks at the team and he's good with the team and he wants them to climb the mountain, and he's looking to invest in gear for them to climb the mountain. But the only problem is that the mountain that they chose isn't interesting enough. Next one, please. This is being a solopreneur or an individual entrepreneur. It's trying to get to that peak alone, which is much, much harder than with a team. You have to carry much more gear. You have to have much more specialties. And it's not that it can't be done. It's just been proven that it's much, much harder. And the individual who can do this is very unique and very rare to find in common society. Next slide, please. Well, you remember this original photo. Next one, please. That's what everybody is thinking about when they're looking at the mountain from down from below. They're thinking about how will it look from above. What we call conquering the market. We're thinking about the day after instead of thinking about detailing our battle plan, and this can be shown in the next slide. Usually when we get closer to the mountain, to the original photo that we looked on, it looks much, much more like this, which is much more frightening, and we see much more details that we couldn't even imagine when we looked at the nice looking view in the original photo. Next one, please. In one slide, I thought, how can I talk about product in one slide, in one metaphor, that will give a humoristic and some notion to it. And basically what you see here is a drawing of 6 blind people touching an elephant. And each one is touching a different part of the elephant. And everyone is thinking about a wholly different thing in his mind. And that is how most entrepreneurs think about products. The elephant is the market, or you can think about it as whatever you want. But the entrepreneurs are the blind folks, and they think they know what they're touching. They think they know what is the need, but they could just, instead of hypothesizing, they could just come into communication with the market, talk to potential customers, and understand better their pains and needs, and with that create a real solution for a real existing need in the market. Next slide, please. So this was the presentation, and again, very happy to give it. If we have time left, I would be happy to take some questions, Gerhard.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ellya, for this nice presentation to give us a little bit insight in this entrepreneurial mindset. Now it's time for questions. We have already some questions from some persons in the chat box. Maybe other people can think about questions and raise the hand. Maybe in the meantime, I will open the microphone of it's David Rossi from Italy. So he had several questions to you. Maybe he can ask it directly to you, or otherwise I have to read the questions. I will try to open his microphone. David, can you? David, are you here? So maybe there's too much background noise. Anyway, I will read the questions to you and then you can answer. So he was asking if STARTAU met pharmaceutical food industries partnership experiences.
Yes, we have made a few in Israel. One is focused on innovation. I know it has some experience in the Chinese market, but we have used our process and our methodologies in the pharmaceutical food industries in the past with but with Israeli companies, non-multinational in this specific industry. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, he asked several other questions. Another one was, let me see, if STARTAU made spin-off experiences and what is their performance in the market actually?
If there were companies that came, is the question, are there companies that grew up in STARTAU and are now successful? Is that the question?
I think so.
Okay, so yeah, we have a few, roughly 15, which are evaluated above $400 million. A very famous one called Spot.im. A very famous one called Waze, which was bought for above $1 billion by Google a few years ago.
Ellya, are you still here? Ellya? Ellya, can you hear us? I'm sorry, but I think we lost the connection to him. I don't have any message in the chat box from him. Ellya, if you hear us, can you type something in the chat box? So I don't know what is the problem. Maybe in the meantime, if somebody wants to make comments on this presentation, you are free to add your opinion and comments. Just raise your hand and then I can open your microphone. I have seen there are also some participants from other entrepreneurship centers, for example in Greece. Maybe they can add also other experiences. So there is a question now from Florentina Matei. Do you believe that it's opportune to start a master in English related to biotechnology? I don't really understand the question, but maybe I open your microphone. Hello, Florentina?
Should I push something?
You asked the question. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, good.
Okay.
You were asking about master in biotechnology.
Biotechnology and entrepreneurship, I mean.
Yeah. So you mean
to teach students how to start up in biotech?
Yeah, I think this it depends very much on the master program, but also on the country where you are living.
Romania.
Romania.
Yeah.
I can only tell you for Austria, for example, we have a lot of pharmaceutical companies in Vienna, so here you have very good chances to get in the business and also to start your own business in this area. I don't know about Romania.
Well, we are just thinking about this opportunity.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry. Ellya, are you here? Are you back?
Yes, yes, sorry.
Okay, we lost you for
Had
a short.
a quick meltdown in our Wi-Fi connection.
Okay. So maybe
Yes, sorry, I'm here, guys.
Yeah. Maybe I get back to David Rossi and then I come back to Florentina. So another question was from David Rossi. So this was answered. The next one was about how entrepreneurship, SME and IDE can interact at the best with the public or private research centers, and which kind of problems could occur. Did you get the question? Ellya? I think we lost him again. We faced already several problems with the connection to Israel today, so that's why also we do not use his webcam. So yes, we could hear you a little bit. Are you back, Ellya? So maybe I come back to Florentina. Was this the answer you would expected about biotechnology, or do you want to know more? So I think she left already. I'm sorry for the quality of the connection. So Ellya could not answer the questions, but if you have questions to him, you could also directly send the questions to his email, and he will answer to you. And if he's not coming back, maybe then we have to finish this presentation. And if you're interested in this topic, we can keep in contact. And I would also like to invite you. Sorry, this was wrong. To the workshop and the continuation of these activities, actually to develop a business plan for different cases. So there are planned that different cases will be presented in this workshop, and Ellya will work with these cases to develop a business plan during the next months after April. So
hey, Gerhard.
Hello, are you back again?
Yes, I came from for another connection. I hope this is much better.
Okay, now it's good. So maybe we can continue with the questions. So there was.
Yes, it'll be very good.
Questions. Sorry. If David Rossi was asking how entrepreneurship, this SME and IDE can interact at the best with public or private research centers, and which kind of problems could occur.
So mostly we see interaction with the public section in academia and IDEs, because a lot of research can be commercialized into IDEs. Actually, to be honest, there's a lot of bad interaction between SMEs and IDEs. You can take the Uber case. Uber, which is an evident IDE, has disrupted and taken out of business many SMEs, or in their other names, taxi drivers. So IDEs have this tendency to take out of the game a lot of SMEs, but the positive side of this is that they create much more jobs and opportunities that are not just technologically inclined. A research from the Kaufman Foundation in the States has shown that 2/3 of the 40 million jobs created between 2005 and I think it was 1990, I'm not sure, but in a quite long time span, was accredited to IDEs, and specifically new IDEs. And what do I mean by new? Companies that are 5 years or younger. So 2/3 of the 40 million jobs that were created in a very long time frame were created by companies that were 5 years or younger. That just shows us the huge potential in specific markets for job creation by IDEs.
Okay, then there is another question: how a private SME or IDE calculate the risk in investments in research with public institutions?
Again, sorry.
The question was how private SMEs or IDEs calculate the risk in investments in research with public institutions.
So in their early stages, usually they don't invest in research done in other places, and I'm generalizing this to most ventures. The whole idea in a venture is taking something that can be commercialized to market. And I'm talking in a business context, but this can be easily transferred for social ventures or non-for-profit ventures. And usually we see this in a much later stage, where companies have already gone through an IPO. And then we see much more R&D into the companies and investment in research facilities and research labs, funding some doctorates and doctorate proposals in universities. But usually the interaction between young companies and academia is with their TTOs. TTO is a tech transfer office, and that's usually for licensing the IP for a specific invention. So usually that is their interaction with research, usually.
Yeah. So David Rossi already left, I think, so it was the question from him. But maybe there's another question. I don't know if you can answer from Florentina Mattei, she's still here, about the opportunity or the chances if you start a master in English related to biotechnology.
A master in English related to biotechnology?
If you believe this is opportune to start a master in English related to biotechnology and entrepreneurship. Okay, I did not read.
I'm not sure I got the question right.
So I read again. Do you believe that it is opportune to start a master in English related to biotech and entrepreneurship?
If there is any value in that?
I think so. I mean, how you...
how do I look at that? I think it goes down to personal preferences. It really, I'm not sure I'm getting the question right, but I think there's a lot to learn in everything. And if it helps you understand people better, and people's pains and needs, and identify gaps in macroeconomic context, then yes. But that will be my answer for everything regarding anything in life.
Yeah.
So I hope that that helps.
Okay, she is happy with that answer. Thank you. Are there any further questions from the participants? So please raise your hand or type it in the question box. Maybe in the meantime, I can ask you for this workshop, what we are going to carry out in April in Vienna. What can we expect from this workshop when we participate in this workshop?
Yeah, so the workshop is an amazing opportunity for a lot of people in one time to get a bit deeper into some of the... We just did a really brief overview of entrepreneurship as a topic, but there we'll try to get much more practical into how do we identify and analyze gaps, what we call opportunity recognition, kind of the frameworks that we discussed today in a very rough overview. And then how do we write down our hypotheses? How do we come up with validation tests? How do we go out of the building and do those tests? How do we choose the right MVP, the right process to get us to validated learning? We will go over some case studies of different famous companies. And I will pick those based on the participant's background, but there are many case studies, and we'll look on how they did it, and we'll try to generalize the things that they've done to things that we can do. And the most amazing part about this workshop is that it's not going to be a standalone workshop. It's going to be just the first shot in an even more unique program, where we will start working with teams on commercializing and building a business model, building a venture around their idea through online mentorship. So the workshop will be the physical part, and then I will lead the program with participants, and we will use some of the best practices we use here in the center, and based on the team needs, we will know to connect the team to the right experts from our community in STARTAU and my own personal network. So really exciting, and I hope we will see many of the people that attended this webinar in the physical conference. And I hope that I'm much better in a physical context than in a webinar context, in a digital context.
Yeah, we're also looking forward to this workshop, and for sure people from our project, from the FooD-STA project, and also from another project, from a capacity building project in Thailand on beverages, some people will participate, and anyway, it's open for everybody who participated. By this, I would also like to thank the people who attended today. We had quite a broad reach out, so several people from Brazil were participating, so thank you for getting up early. Also from the other side, from India, Thailand, Kazakhstan, also from Ethiopia and Egypt, people were participating. So I think this entrepreneurship topic is very interesting, and it's also important because we found out in our survey that in the food industry, possible employees are looking for those people who have experience in entrepreneurship. Are there any further questions from the participants? There are still people here. If not, I think then we will finish this webinar, and thank you all for you, Ellya, for the presentation, and also the participants for their contributions. And you will find on the website of FooD-STA, you will find the presentations and also the recording of this webinar, and also information about the upcoming physical workshop and the follow-up webinars on this topic. Oh, there is one question. Just a moment.
Just to add that the presentation is available on my LinkedIn and SlideShare. I will upload it today, so feel free to use it. And if anybody is in need of the open format and the notes that come with the presentation, I'm happy to give that by mail. So just feel free to contact me.
Sorry, I forgot. There's one person who raised the hand. I forgot New Zealand. There's also one person from New Zealand. Maybe I can open this person. Hello, a very difficult name, Olan Rivalyayu Ulutu. Can you hear us? Do you want to add something? Maybe the connection is not so good. Anyway, are there any further questions?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there will be kind of a certificate for attending the program.
Yes, there will be a certificate. So we are going to certify this activity. It will be certified by the ISEKI-Food Association. So this will be a certified course, which you can then use maybe for your CPT.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
That you attended, but there will also be some assessment at the end, so you will can also get a grade for this activity.
All right. Right. Thank you very much.
Not for this webinar, but for the program. So if you attend the workshop, for this, if you need, you can have a certificate of attendance.
All right. Thank you very much.
And just send me an email.
All right.
Okay. So then thank you all, and I will now finish this webinar, and hopefully we see us somewhere or in Vienna at the workshop. Ellya, thank you very much again for the presentation. You want to add something?
Sure, it was. No, I think everything was said, and if anyone has need for more information, they can feel free to contact me by LinkedIn or email. I'm always responsive.
Okay, thank you very much, and goodbye then.